What's up, everyone? A few of you have asked for real-time graffiti start to finish. So I found a wall that I have prepped. This is my backyard wall that I'm gonna do graffiti, a character, everything in real time as much as possible. Walk you guys through the whole process. I do have this sketch here. This is based off a character that I made on Twitch the other day. I didn't get a chance to fully render and color the character, and I took an old piece and kind of skewed it a bit to fit with the character. So I want to get this up on the wall behind me, and to do that, I'm going to start with chalk. I'm going to use chalk to save some spray paint, and then we'll go in and we'll reline the lines we want to keep, get rid of the ones we don't want. So let's get started. Okay, you can see the wall is in 4 different quadrants, and this paper is not. So I'm going to find a center point by just folding this paper in half and fold in towards the center. And now I'm going to fold the top to kind of replicate the wall a little bit. Maybe not quite that high. Okay, so this is how I want my sketch on the wall. I have my quadrants, as you can see. So this will help me keep the K in this, the E in this section, the V kind of is almost the center point here. You can see when I fold it in half, and then the S in the character towards the last 2 panels. I want to point out this is not any special type of chalk. This is just a simple Crayola chalk. And I like to start with a lighter color chalk on this background. And if I make any mistakes, I can go in with a darker tone. Later on, I'll be switching colors when it gets to the character. It just kind of helps my brain read things a little faster, where I could see where the letters are in a certain color and where the character is in a different color. As far as camera angles go, we're going to be switching back and forth quite a bit here. I tried to get some close-up for you guys, and I didn't want to put it in wide angle and show too much of, you know, the neighbors and all that kind of stuff. I wanted to keep this pretty close up and personal to the wall. And of course, I have some zoomed out shots as well for you, so you could see exactly what's going on. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that I kind of hate figuring out camera angles. It just becomes so tedious, so annoying. I hate when batteries die. So we're just gonna see how this video goes. As I said earlier in the video, quite a few people have asked for real time and just a longer format. So here it is. I hope you guys enjoy, and I'm just gonna leave you to it, and I'll be in and out just telling you what I'm doing step by step along the way. In some of my other videos, I've definitely used the doodle grid technique, but for this one, I just wanted to freehand and sketch on the wall. And one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give when doing that is to step back often. Now, I've gone ahead and cut every clip out where I step back, where I grab a different color, just to save time, because if I didn't, this video would have been way too long. At this point, the graffiti portion is outlined in orange, and the character has just been completed with the blue chalk, so it's time to grab some spray paint and outline the lines I want to keep. As always, I am using my favorite cap, that is the level 1 cap from Montana. I will honestly be doing the majority of this piece with that cap. It's pretty crazy that the cicadas outside sound just like they're part of this song, but that is just outdoor noise. It is a beautiful but extremely hot summer day at the end of July here. I thought I switched colors with the spray paint as well for the character part, but I guess I did not. I think I was just kind of in the groove and just kept going. It really doesn't matter, but sometimes when you're looking at stuff, it just kind of helps your brain separate things a little faster. But these are just random tips that work for me. But again, obviously looking at this, you know where the letters are, you know where the character is. It's just one of those mental things that kind of provide clarity for me to just read something so fast and know where exactly everything is. You'll see later, one of the things that I like to do for more clarity is just kind of map out and dust in my 3D. Most people will not dust in their 3D, but to me, it kind of helps me see where the 3D falls to see if I want to go maybe wider with the 3D, if I need to space the letters out more. You want to make sure there's a proper amount of breathing room and things aren't getting too congested. For 3D, I want to pick a vanishing point, and I think putting it in the laser gun up there would be the best idea for all the 3D to just angle right at that. Okay, that's going to block too much of the character. That was a terrible idea. One of my favorite things about spray paint is the fact that it's so forgiving and you could just keep covering it. It doesn't matter if it's a light tone over a dark tone over a light tone. You could just keep painting and covering your mistakes and work with it. Also, you could kind of see in this zoomed out view how much the yellow is helping me kind of see the 3D to see where things are going to fall. And that's just going to provide a little extra clarity to figure out if the character is being blocked too much and just make sure that I like where everything is before I proceed to color. Looks like I'm wrapping up some of the last of the lines here, making some alterations, and then it is time to start in on the background. The background is a pretty loose concept in my head. I am just kind of going to create a weird, spacey kind of, I guess, abandoned looking desert-like planet that also has some kind of floral stuff, maybe like tree life, we'll call it. But yeah, I'm just starting by mapping in a little mountain range, and everything in the background is pretty much going to be in kind of this yellowy tone. But I also want to play with the color scheme and add some pink in there as well. Try to save time whenever I could on this video, so instead of speeding parts up, I'm just kind of cutting out parts like this where it is just the same tone of yellow straight across the wall. Once that tone was based across the wall, I went in with a slightly brighter tone of yellow and just started blending up a little bit. And now it's time to grab a brighter tone of yellow and start making some clouds. Now that those are based, I can go in with a brighter tone and start adding some highlights. Once the clouds are done, I'm going to grab a slightly darker tone of the background color, and I'm going to start mapping in a distant mountain range. There's not really much of a process to this other than the fact that I'm just kind of creating jagged triangles over and over, and I'm going to kind of match the slope of the graffiti portion. You can see it's a little higher on the left, drops down to the right. I'm going to do the same thing with the mountain range. All right, now I am going in to do my second set of mountain range where I'm going with an even darker tone. So my goal is to get darker the closer it gets. Speaking of getting closer, look at this close-up that this bee wanted to get in the video. Okay, back to painting mountains. You can see I've created a background, a midground, and I'm starting to work towards a foreground. So what I'm going to do is start to get more detailed the closer the mountains get. So I'm going to start just adding these random jagged shapes to the mountains that are in the foreground, and that will make things that come closer look more detailed, and the objects in the distance will look further. And now I'm going to go in and add even darker rocks. and I cut a little bit out there so that I could just jump to the part where I'm doing the same thing. I'm going in with a mid-tone of brown now, and I am just kind of creating the same jagged shapes on top so that it has a rocky look to it. Okay, so at this point, I decided I was going to add these trees kind of in the foreground because I had a lot of dead space to fill at the bottom of this wall. And like I said, I didn't really plan this. This is more or less just kind of coming up with an idea of a landscape out of my mind to just put on this wall. I was really happy to start seeing a different tone in this wall because obviously, every time you add a color, it's going to affect the layout of the wall, the look of the wall. So seeing this kind of magenta tone against this yellow and orange, just completely complementary colors working well together, brings a whole new tone to it. Don't worry, there will be more close-up shots later so I could show you exactly what I'm doing. But at this point, it was just easier to have the wider angle from afar. I also thought some giant rocks would help take up some space to just really give like a super foreground kind of view so that there's things, the graffiti will kind of almost be a midground, even though it's a focal point. You're kind of viewing it through different layers, like the foliage, the rocks, everything just kind of makes you feel like you're there seeing it in place. After basing this solid tone of this orangey color, I decided just kind of spray little streaks of the yellow tones because it would just kind of imply this like sandy texture in a way. Having it without this would just look way too blank. So just less is more approach, but very, very subtle. All right, let's finally get some close-ups so that I can show you guys exactly how I'm layering onto this tree. This is a very basic process where I based all of the dark tones, and I'm just spraying and layering in a little bit of a lighter tone to give it some depth. When you step back and see this from afar, it all starts to really come together and take shape. This is very similar to how I created the clouds, so of course I'm also going to go in and add another layer of highlights. I wanted to add a little more flow to the wall, so I thought I would create smoke that was coming out of the ray gun and lead the viewer's eyes all the way around the wall. Now that the majority of the background is done, I can finally start coloring in these letters. One thing I'm noticing as I'm watching this back is that I messed up on my light source. I could see that all the mountains have the light coming from the left because I was planning on doing some lighting from the left originally. But the trees and everything else, the clouds, all have the lighting coming from the right. So too late to go back now. Don't tell anyone. But yeah, I noticed. Whoops. You can see I'm adding some shadows to really create some depth here, and I'm also going to go in and create a little bit of a beveled edge to the letters. Little things like this are so subtle, but they make an overall difference in the end when you look at the piece as a whole. I mentioned earlier how forgiving spray paint is, so if a shadow was too dark, you could always soften it or just keep blending back and forth. And that is just something I absolutely love about spray paint. Before I decided to line the K, I started on the S with the same color. I don't really have a solid game plan at this point. I am just experimenting, and I figured I would go into the S with the same tones that I used in the K. So yeah, basically to recap at this moment, I don't know what color I'm going to outline with, and I have no idea what color the E or the V will be. Over the years, I found that, sometimes it's really nice to have a plan, and sometimes it's nice to just experiment and have fun. I probably shouldn't have experimented and had fun on a video that I was showing you guys that was a long format, but here we are. And you'll see what I mean by the time we get to the E eventually. And now it's time to finally throw some line work on this thing. Do you guys see that? I try to get away with a sharp line, and sometimes if you don't get to the point, I just kind of try to smear it with the tip of my finger, but that didn't work so well. Should have just left it alone. But that's what cutbacks are for. The line work is all done with a darker gray, but now I'm going to go in with black and just add more shadows and dimension to the 3D. This may not look like it's making a huge difference or be so noticeable now, but when you step back, it'll be noticeable, and it'll pop out even more when I go in and add highlights to the line work. And there's that little cutback I was talking about. You can always go back and clean stuff up or change things you don't like. Again, spray paint is so forgiving. This is where I'm going in and adding those highlights I was talking about on the line work. This is definitely going to help make those shadows pop out even more. This is kind of like a mid-tone of gray, but we're going to step it up even brighter. And now that we've wrapped up with the S, we can move on over to the K. I'm going to approach the K the very same way that I did the S, but in the back of my head, I'm also going to start to think about some color options for the E and the V. And the best thing about painting in my backyard on this wall is that my entire paint selection is only about 20 feet from me. I know there's probably plenty of artists out there that just want to slap a fat cap on right now and get the job done, but honestly, I love just using the level 1 cap and just trying to stay as clean as I can with it. With the overspray from fat cap sometimes, I love it for blends, but I don't know, it's just the universalness, I guess, just how universal the level 1 cap is. It's just amazing to me. I love that cap. Can't say enough good things about the cap. I have not used any other caps on this piece so far, but later on we will bring in the tiny pink stencil cap. You can see at this point the leaves on the tree are not colored yet because I want to base the graffiti first and then go back in and do the leaves on top of it later so it looks cleaner. If you guys like this style video of the real-time graffiti, definitely check out my friend and crewmate Smo Nova. He has mastered so many techniques, goes over them more in depth, but a lot with the shadows and the highlights and the 3D and the line work. So be sure to check his page out as well, if you don't already.
YIC crew, baby.
I mentioned earlier I would go back and color in the leaves on top of the graffiti so you could see that the graffiti will be behind and the leaves are just going to pop out and be nice and clean in the foreground. I also want to make sure that I go in and highlight the branches so that the branches break off of the graffiti a little more and they're just more distinct. And at this point, I can start coloring the V finally. And I decided I would replay some of the colors that are on the left and the right of the wall in the center of the wall. That way everything looks kind of uniform and replayed, and your brain kind of makes a pattern out of it. I'm pretty much doing a similar process that I did on the K and the S for the V, where I'm just going in and laying in some highlights, some shadows, just different tones in a different color. Now that all my shadows and highlights are placed inside the letter, I can outline the letter. If you guys are still hanging with me, I appreciate you. Let me know in the comments if there's something that you're working on while watching this video. I'm hoping maybe you guys got your sketch pads out and you're drawing something yourself. So let me know what you're drawing and let's pick something random to shout out in the comments. Let's pick the word alphabet. If you are still sitting here watching along, we're pretty much at the halfway point now. So just shout out the word alphabet and I'll know you're here with me. I appreciate you guys. I'm just adding all the highlights now on the V, and then I can finally get into the letter E, but be prepared. There are going to be some, there's going to be a little bit of experimenting going on here. All right, from that sound alone, you can tell I have broken out the tiny pink stencil cap to do some tiny highlights on the leaves on the trees. And I will go over some close-up shots and a little more of me using the stencil cap later in the video. At this point, I wanted to balance out the piece by adding some silhouette bats in the upper left corner with the tiny pink stencil cap. I felt like they're kind of characters, even though they're not like detailed characters. It's just something subtle that puts a little more detail in the upper left corner, because I know that when Skulligan is done on the right side, it's going to take a lot of focus. So I want the viewer's eyes to move completely around the canvas. So by doing this, it's adding another focal point, basically. Also, it's kind of guiding where Skulligan's eyes are looking. So if you see his eye, my character Skulligan always only has one eye. So if you see that one eye, it is looking towards the upper left corner, almost hinting that he's afraid of these bats that are coming towards him, or maybe they're startled by something bigger that flew away. You know, they flew away because they got startled. So it's just kind of telling a little more of a story. One of the ways that I like to use my tiny pink stencil cap is by just kind of creating a thin outline of the wings and then taking the cap off and coloring in with the regular level 1 cap without the stencil cap on top. By starting with the stencil cap, I can get the sharp points at the tips of the wing and then use the level 1 cap to fill the body and work a little more efficiently while saving paint. Okay, after I wrap these bats up, I am then getting into the letter E, and this is the only part of the video that I have sped up because I did not want to waste time showing you a completed letter that I then felt didn't match the rest of the piece and had to go over. So bottom line is I started with green. I thought this would be a great addition to the color scheme because I was going to try to plant green throughout the piece, but honestly, in the long run, I just felt like it was too much. It was overpowering. It was taking away from the piece. I wish I had a before and after to show you guys, but I did not take a before piece of the full section. I only took like a quick progress picture of the E, and I stared at this thing for so long. It took a lot in me to make this decision. I probably honestly sat for about 45 minutes thinking, should I continue with the green or should I just, play it safe and reuse some of the background colors? And in the long run, I just felt it was better to replay the background colors. So here I am going back over all of that hard work that I did to create this transparent green goo that's in kind of like a cased jar of an E. But you know what? I just wanted to make sure that I liked every part of it, and to me, this was a better outcome in the long run. Another huge dilemma that I had was debating on whether or not to redo the bubbles again, because to be honest, when I stepped back, it felt like that portion was so detailed that it took away from everything else. One thing you want to think about with your art is keeping the viewer engaged with the entire piece. focal points are nice, but if all the attention is on one section, the rest kind of gets washed out. And I enjoy having the graffiti read just as well with the character all together as one. I want the background to play its part and have a role as well. So these are things that I just think about when I'm creating, is making sure there's not a section that is just too overpowering. And if you guys don't agree, I really don't care, but let me know in the comments anyways. As I was recoloring the E, I knew that I was going to have to re-outline the E as well. There just wasn't enough contrast anymore, because even though they're different colors, they're kind of the same tone and value. So I knew I was going to have to redo this. And to be honest, I was losing steam at this point. I was just frustrated with having to completely go over something that I had spent so much time on. And I was kind of weighing out if I thought I should get into the character or not this day, because it was getting later in the day. I was so frustrated, and I didn't know if I should continue painting in that mindset. If this is something that you guys relate to, please let me know in the comments. Have you ever gotten to a point where you're just frustrated? And I found sometimes it's best to walk away, but I've also pushed through and come out with some pretty cool outcomes in the long run. But let me know if this is something you relate to. Let me know what's happened to you and how you got through it. You could see I made the choice to go over all that tone that I based so that it would be a little lighter at the bottom and blend into a darker part right where it meets the surface of the liquid. So again, I was already frustrated, and now I'm making more and more mistakes, or just experimenting more and more. So I probably should have planned something out before making such a long video for you guys, but I also want to show you that things just, come about the way they are. Like, sometimes experimenting can lead to some happy accidents, and sometimes it leads to a lot of wasted time to just rule out that something you thought would work did not work. No way is right, no way is wrong. It's just however it comes about. I obviously had to get rid of the green that was in the smoke. That was something that I thought, maybe if I trail more green through the piece, it would have worked, but it was just too much because the entire background is so monochromatic that playing it safe with the letters, just adding these purples and magentas to be the only other colors that are in the piece, which are also in the background too, because of the leaves on the tree. I thought that just kind of keeping to these two, I guess duochromatic, just kind of picking like two tones to go throughout the piece worked really well. I'm going in with the darker tone of gray now, and you could see what a difference it has in just making these colors pop out more because I'm just adding contrast by creating darker values. And here's where I tried to add the bubbles again just to see if they would work, but I ended up getting rid of them because I felt like they just took away from it. It was just too much and it was overpowering. These are difficult decisions to make, especially when something is looking cool in one area and it looks so detailed and you invested time into it, but if it's taking away from the rest of it, you just got to get rid of it. Sometimes things just don't work. I try not to get too attached to things, and I just try to find better solutions, like this highlight that I'm making on the edge that I really liked. And then once I saw that highlight, I figured, you know what, maybe I can make some ripples, just a little ripple effect so you get that it's a liquid. I added shadows just to bump up the contrast even more. As sad as it was to see the green go, I am loving how this E is looking now. Just kind of blending the lighter gray on top of the darker gray and getting the highlight on the top. Wherever the light's hitting, I'm trying to make sure, things are accurate. And one thing that I am noticing every time I step back is that highlight on the E. So eventually I'm going to have to add some highlights on the other letters as well, just to make sure everything looks a little more uniform. So right after I went in and started highlighting this E, that's when I decided I'm going to add some highlights to the K and the S as well. And eventually I go back in and add some highlights to the V. Technically, there were already some highlights, but I wanted to make some hard cut highlights to, like I said, just kind of match what the E had and make everything look a little more uniform. Apparently I went into the V sooner than I thought, but one thing I do know is that as I stared at this, I didn't think the highlights were strong enough. They weren't bright enough. So spoiler alert, these highlights get corrected as well. Again, there's so much experimenting on this piece, but I'm giving you guys a look inside how I work, and the process is not always perfect, obviously. I like to make things up on the spot as much as I can. Art is all about problem solving. You could see everything I do is worked up in layers from the background to the closest point being the foreground. So I'm going back now that I mapped in all the smoke, and I am adding the little details on the tree. By this point in the day, I was beyond burnt out. I was just so tired, and it was getting later in the day. In reality, since I cut out all the times that I was grabbing paint or coming up and down the ladder and just sitting there rethinking things that I knew I was going to fix later, real time was probably about 7 hours, 6 or 7 hours maybe. So after getting this smoke done, I decided I was going to call it a day and save the character for the next day. But unfortunately, it rained for the next few days, so I had to wait a few days later, and then I can finally start up on the character. In the end, I'm glad that I didn't dive into the character a few days prior because I would have rushed it. It was so nice to just come back to the wall with a fresh mind and just color in the character. It was already mapped out. All the hard parts were done. I just got to color it in, and I would say probably took roughly 2 hours if I include grabbing paint up and down the ladder. All the stuff that I cut out. It was probably about 2 hours worth of work left to do. So not bad, super easy day. The only problem I did have this day is that it kept raining here and there throughout. So I'd have to stop for like 20 minutes and then get back to the wall when I got a little window of, no more rain. So that was the only hassle I had on this day. As far as picking colors goes, I decided to play it pretty safe. Gray, being a very neutral color, just works with everything, and I have also already used gray in the piece to outline the K and the S and the E. And another thing that I decided to do later was implement some of the other colors like the pink and the purple tones, those lavenders. You will see those in this piece later. And because of the rain, I did actually have a chance to finish the original sketch that I did of this character during those rainy days. So I finished this up on a Twitch. This piece is up and available on my website, kbuart.com. I didn't stick with the colors from this piece because I just thought this fit better with the graffiti and what I had going on. You could see that adding these purpley tones into the character really helped tie everything together to make this look complete and uniform as one whole piece. And the more complete the character becomes, the more whole the entire wall will look. Everything will be in this kind of, we'll call it a duochromatic look to it, between these yellowy tones and these nice vibrant magenta pink tones. I decided it was best to get rid of this, I guess, backpack kind of thing that was on the character. I felt like it was just kind of taken away and distracting. So much of the V blocks the character in that portion that I really didn't think it was necessary. And if I did color it, the viewer would probably just wonder what it was. So just went in with some yellow and eliminated that. I also told you guys earlier that after staring at this piece, I decided I needed to go brighter on the highlights on the V. So I'm just going back now and adding an even brighter tone of pink to really make sure everything has a good uniform look to it. As I keep saying, I want everything to just look nice and cohesive. I hope you guys can see it and understand what I'm saying as well, that the white shine that was on the E was just so distracting that I felt like I needed to do like more hard cut shines. And when I say hard cut, that just is a term for not blended. So before the V was kind of a lot of blended tones of pink, and now I'm just going in and making sure things are nice and hard cut. In the back of my mind, I am knowing that by the time I get to the face shield, the mask of the skull, I'm also going to put a nice hard white glare on there as well. So the E and the face shield will be they'll look the same. It'll be, replayed well like a pattern. Adding the black to the suit definitely added more contrast, and I am just loving seeing all of the colors that were replayed in the letters come together in the character now. And the more space I'm filling, the more excited I'm getting, obviously. There's a little Enzo bark there. I always like letting Enzo outside while I'm painting. It's just fun that he gets to kind of roam around the backyard. He'll sit in the distance and watch me paint and just bark if anyone goes by and stuff. And he has a blast out there. So it's very nice whenever I get to paint close to home and just hang out with Enzo. I'm ready to go in and do some stencil cap work, but I do want to show you guys one quick thing about what I do with the stencil cap. I slide the cap into a plastic baggie and I tape it to it, and then I can just click the can right inside and everything will spray out and collect in the bag. I've shown this in another video, but I don't think enough people saw it. I also got this from someone online. I don't remember the original artist that came up with this, but genius. If you've used the tiny pink stencil cap in the past, you may have noticed eventually it kind of leaks out of the bottom. And this is just a safe way. You could just get rid of that rubber stopper altogether and just have it collect in the bag. Now, the only downfall I've really found from this is it kind of shifts the weight. It's something that you kind of have to get used to, because if you don't dump that bag, it will collect and start to get a little heavy, and that bag might start swinging around a little bit, and you do not want it to hit the wall and smudge any of the fresh paint. So as long as you're aware of these things and you adapt to them, then it's a great technique. One thing I like to do with my work is mess with line weight. So one way that I'm doing that is by using the stencil cap to create thin lines to divide like the fingers. But then I'm using my regular level 1 cap to go around the hand after, so that the outer perimeter is a little thicker and the interior lines are a little thinner, making it just kind of appear more detailed. The birds are definitely getting loud. I think they knew it was about to rain and they are signaling or something, because the birds were definitely chirping a lot. And shortly after, it did rain for a bit. And like I said earlier, I had to keep stopping and waiting for the rain to clear and just using random windows of time to get back and just finish whatever I could. Here's a good example of the difference in line weight, where I have the thin lines for the finger separation, but then I go around the outside of the fingers with the level 1 cap and just thicken up the outer perimeter. This section is something I definitely want to take a second and talk about, because I had a lot of fun trying to create like a slight transparency, just putting the back of the ray gun there, but then also just coming in after and adding white to create this little glow so that it was like this bright light of energy coming out of it and just dusting right over it. It's such a simple technique, but it gave a really cool effect in my opinion. And again, this is all part of experimenting, just having fun with the process, trying different things, seeing what will work, and fixing what we don't like and keeping what we do. Finally got the skull pretty much based, and I'm going in and adding some highlights on the sections that I have based, but this thing has come so far. If you guys are still here, still hanging through the whole thing, I appreciate you so much. Let me know if you enjoy this type of video for sure. I cannot promise I'll be doing a whole lot more of these, but every now and then we'll see.
Of course, we got to make sure Skulligan has his nasty yellow eye and his creepy gold tooth, just to really bring this character to life. This was one of the other points where I captured it starting to rain and you could see it coming down. So I was so close to the end, but I had to take a quick 20-minute break, wait for the rain to stop, and then get back out there and finish it up. As I said earlier, I was going to play with a little bit of transparent glass effect, just like I did on the E. So I'm doing that on the face mask here by adding a little bit of reflective yellow, and eventually there will be some white glares on top of this as well. Now, none of this is done with transparent spray paint. This is just kind of lightly dusting and just kind of aiming the paint over to create that glass look. This stencil cap is helping me just bring all of the definition that I need in the face together. Looks like it's starting to rain again. I just couldn't catch a break at the end here. So close to being done, but just really had to earn that the last few minutes. These next few lines were some of the scariest lines of the entire piece. So while I show you these last few lines that I'm doing, I want to give a huge thank you to all of my paid Patreon members now. You guys absolutely rock, and I appreciate your support so much. If you're interested in joining to help support as well, I'll leave a link in the description of this video. I don't get paid for projects like this. All of the paint comes out of pocket. It is very expensive. Everything is edited and filmed by me, so any help is greatly appreciated, guys. Another way to help support me, of course, is to check out my website, kbuart.com. I have plenty of merch available here. I've got my coloring book, a pin, plenty of stickers to choose from. I've got some shirts that I've made, some hoodies, and I've also got prints as well as original artwork available. So be sure to check it out because there is way more than what's being shown here, and maybe pick yourself up something. Really appreciate it. We're just moments away, just a few more highlights away from seeing the final outcome of this wall, and I am beyond stoked on this. If you guys enjoyed this video style, please let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now, before we take a look at the final outcome, I do want to tell you guys something. I got prints made. They're 11 by 17 on heavyweight paper. Each one has a wax seal and is hand signed and numbered 1 through 50. You can get those at kbuart.com. But now, let's take a look at the final outcome.